I don't remember walking home from the clinic. I remember the doctor's face, tight mouth, two soft eyes, the way he kept clearing his throat like the words tasted wrong. I remember the cold paper under my palms. I remember the buzzing in my ears, but the minutes after, those are gone. What stuck with me was one sentence. Your condition has advanced further than we realized. Advanced, as if it were a project I'd been working on, as if I'd had a choice. I'd known something was wrong, for months, if I'm honest. The shortness of breath when climbing stairs, that constant ache in my ribs, the way I'd wake up drenched in sweat like my body was trying to fight something I couldn't name, but I'd brushed it off as exhaustion, stress, maybe even the weather, because in my pack, weakness is something you hide, especially when you're the omega everyone loves to hate. I didn't have family to tell. I didn't have friends who'd care. And the alphas? Well, they'd made their feelings about me perfectly clear years ago. I pushed open my front door and stood there for a long moment, trying to swallow the nausea rising in my throat. The house was too quiet, too clean, too empty, like it didn't belong to someone real, just some placeholder the world barely noticed. I set the envelope on the counter. I couldn't bring myself to open it fully, not yet. The doctor had already given me the basics anyway. A chronic illness, progressive, manageable for some, but not for someone who'd ignored it for too long, someone who didn't have help, someone whose body was doing its best, but losing ground faster than anyone expected. I wasn't dying today, or tomorrow, maybe not even this month, but the road ahead had shifted in a way I couldn't pretend about anymore. I sat down on the couch. My whole chest felt tight, like the air had thickened around me. I kept replaying the doctor's voice. You'll need support. Someone to help you manage symptoms as they escalate. Support. Right. From who? My hands shook as I poured water and tried to drink. It tasted metallic. Everything tasted metallic lately. The strangest part was that I wasn't afraid of dying. Not in the dramatic way. I was afraid of being sick alone, of no one noticing until it was too late, of collapsing in my own home and not being found for days. A pathetic part of me wondered if the alphas would care. Even a little. The four of them had once known me, before everything went wrong, before they'd decided I was a nuisance or a mistake or just someone unworthy of their time. The thought hit me so hard I had to sit down again. I didn't want to reach out. I didn't want to need them. But the truth was, I did. Not for love. Not for forgiveness. Just help. Enough strength to get through the next appointment. Enough reassurance that I wouldn't be forgotten if things got worse. The shame burned hot, but the fear burned hotter. I stared at my phone for almost an hour, drafted messages and deleted them, typed new ones and deleted those too. My hands kept shaking and my breath kept catching every time I imagined their reactions. Finally, on a long exhale, I typed one sentence. I don't know who else to tell. I'm sick, badly. I need help. I sent it to all four of them. The alphas who resented me. The alphas who had every reason to ignore me. The alphas who knew how to hurt me without lifting a finger. And then I sat there, staring at the screen, waiting for the inevitable silence. Waiting to learn just how alone I really was. I didn't expect an answer. Not from any of them, and definitely not right away. But waiting? That was its own kind of torture. The first hour passed slowly. I kept checking my phone, pretending I wasn't checking it. I tried to eat something. Couldn't. Tried to lie down. Couldn't. The ache in my chest wouldn't let me. It wasn't sharp, but it was constant, like someone pressing a thumb against a bruise deep inside me. By the second hour, the symptoms crept back in. The shortness of breath, the pressure under my ribs, the way the room tilted when I stood too fast. I told myself it was anxiety. It wasn't. By hour 3, the house felt smaller. I opened windows, then closed them, then opened them again. My thoughts kept looping. I shouldn't have sent the message. They're laughing about it. They're showing each other screenshots. They're relieved I'm finally too weak to bother them. I hated myself for thinking that, but I hated myself even more for believing it. At hour 4, I checked my phone again. Still nothing. The moment I saw 4 red receipts lined up in a row, something in my chest went cold. They'd seen it. They just didn't care. I slowly set the phone down, my hands trembling. I had expected silence, but seeing proof of it, Their quick glances, their immediate dismissal, hurt in a way I wasn't prepared for. A buzzing started in my ears, not loud, just steady, like a warning bell. I sat on the floor because sitting felt safer than falling. My breath hitched in shallow bursts, and I wrapped my arms around myself just to stay steady. I'm still alone, even now. The irony hit me then, in the worst, darkest way. I'd reached out only because the doctor said I'd need help soon. Not today, not tonight, but soon. Soon was starting to look a lot like now. My vision pinpricked. I leaned forward, hands braced on the floor. Sweat prickled across my skin. I tried to breathe deeper. I couldn't. I tried to stand. My legs shook. I whispered to no one, "Not now. Please, not now." My phone buzzed. I didn't reach for it immediately. I couldn't. My hands were shaking too hard. The buzzing stopped, then started again. Not a notification this time. A call. Someone was calling me. I dragged the phone closer, squinting down at the screen. My heart stopped. It wasn't the 4 Alphas group chat. It wasn't a medical number. It wasn't a spam call. It was a name I didn't expect to see. One of the Alphas, the one who hated me the most, the one who swore I'd never hear from him again, the one who had every reason to leave me to my silence. His name flashed again as the call buzzed in my hand. I stared at it, dazed, breath shallow, chest tight. He was calling me. He was calling me. I didn't answer the call at first. I couldn't. My fingers were numb, and my breath was stuck somewhere between a gasp and a choke. The screen lit up again. And again. His name flashing insistently each time, like he was trying to drag me back into my own body. I forced my shaking thumb across the screen and pressed accept. I didn't even get a greeting out before his voice hit me. Low, sharp, urgent. "What's happening?" It stunned me. Not the question, but the tone. He didn't sound annoyed, or cold, or distant. He sounded afraid. My voice cracked embarrassingly. "I didn't think you'd call." "I shouldn't have needed a reason beyond what you wrote." His breath came through the line like he was walking fast. No, running. "Where are you? Are you home?" I nodded before remembering he couldn't see me. "Yeah." "Don't move," he said. "Don't stand. Don't try to do anything. I'm coming." My heart jolted. "You don't have to." "I'm already on my way." I swallowed hard. "Why you?" "What do you mean?" "I texted all 4 of you." A pause. Tight. Raw. "I know," he finally said. "I saw the group chat. I saw what they said." I froze. What did they say? Silence. Then, with a restrained anger I'd never heard from him. "Nothing. They said nothing." I closed my eyes. "Of course they did." He continued, voice roughening. "They saw your message and chose not to respond. I didn't." "Why?" I whispered. Another pause, deeper, heavier, and I heard something in it I couldn't place. Not pity, not guilt, something else. "I don't hate you," he said quietly. "I never did." My chest tightened, but this time, not from pain. Before I could ask what he meant, another wave of dizziness hit. My breath tripped, catching in uneven bursts. He must have heard it. Hey, stay with me," he urged. "Talk to me." "I'm trying," I gasped. "What's hurting the most?" "Breathing. And everything feels heavy." He cursed under his breath. Not at me, but at the situation. "You should have told someone sooner." I laughed weakly. "Who?" "No one would have believed me." His answer came instantly. "I would have." The words hit like a blow I wasn't ready for. Then, in the background, I heard a door slam, keys jingling, an engine start. He was coming. Fast. "Listen to me," he said, voice steadier now, slipping into something firm and grounding. "I'm close. Just sit tight. Keep breathing as best you can. Do not stand up." The room dipped again. My grip on the phone loosened. "You're gonna be okay," he said. "Just hold on. I'm almost there." I didn't trust my voice enough to respond. I didn't need to. He didn't hang up. He stayed on the line, talking, breathing, keeping me tethered, and for the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting alone. I don't remember hanging up the phone. I don't remember the few minutes after that either, just the faint sound of his voice bleeding through the speaker, even after my grip went slack. "Stay with me. I'm right here. Keep breathing. I'm almost there." I clung to those words like they were a rope holding me above water. Then, a pounding on my front door. Not tentative, not polite. Urgent. "Open up," he called, voice muffled through the wood. "It's me." My legs barely held me as I pushed myself up. The room swung, but I managed to stumble toward the door and unlatch it before my knees buckled completely. He caught me before I hit the floor. One moment I was collapsing. The next, his arms were around me, steady and warm, lifting me effortlessly. His scent hit me first, sharp pine, cold air, something distinctly him that I'd spent years trying to forget. It didn't work. He pulled me fully into the house and kicked the door shut behind him. "You should have stayed sitting," he said, but his voice wasn't angry. It shook. He shook. Seeing him like that stunned me more than the symptoms did. This was the alpha who'd avoided me for years, the one who always kept his distance, the one who never gave more than a polite nod when forced to acknowledge me. And yet, now he held me like I was something that might slip through his fingers if he wasn't careful. He eased me onto the couch, one hand braced behind my back, the other on my wrist, checking my pulse like he was trained for it. "You're burning up," he muttered. "Why didn't you say something sooner?" "I didn't think you'd care," I whispered before I could stop myself. His jaw tightened, but the anger wasn't aimed at me. "Don't put me in the same category as them." Them. The other three alphas, the ones who saw my message and stayed silent. I swallowed. I didn't know who else to ask. He pulled a blanket over me, tucking it around my shoulders with surprising gentleness. "You asked me," he said. "That's enough." My chest tightened, not from illness this time, but from something warm and confusing. His eyes traced my face, searching, assessing. I saw the exact moment he took in the exhaustion, the tension, the way I was fighting to stay present. He whispered it like a confession. "I was scared when I saw your message." I stared at him. Scared? Of losing you before I even... He stopped himself, looking away. His knuckles went white where he gripped the blanket. "Before you what?" I asked softly. He didn't answer that. Instead, he cleared his throat and shifted closer, his knee brushing against mine, deliberate or unconscious. I couldn't tell. "You need a healer," he said. "A real one. Not the pack's half-trained excuse. I can't afford... You're not paying." "I am." That stunned me silent. He must have seen the confusion in my face because he softened his tone. "I'm not here out of obligation or pity. I came because I couldn't..." His voice cracked, the slightest break. "I couldn't ignore you, not like they did." I looked down at my hands, trembling in my lap. "I thought you hated me." He inhaled sharply, and when he lifted my chin so I'd meet his eyes, his expression wasn't angry. It was hurt. "I never hated you," he said. "I hated that you thought I did." Something in my chest stuttered. Before I could respond, a sharp wave of lightheadedness washed through me. I swayed, and in an instant his arms were around me again, steadying me against his chest. "Easy," he murmured. "I've got you." And for once I didn't pull away. I let him hold me. I let myself lean into him. I let myself believe, just for a moment, that maybe I didn't have to face any of this alone. He stayed close without crowding me, one hand braced lightly on my shoulder. Not intimate, not suggestive, just steady, grounding. The kind of touch someone uses when they're terrified you might fall again. It felt strange, being treated gently by him of all people. I focused on breathing until my head stopped spinning. He didn't rush me, didn't fill the silence with empty reassurances. Just waited. When I finally felt stable enough to speak, I said quietly, "You weren't supposed to come." He let out a long, unsteady breath. "You really think I wouldn't? You've avoided me for years." He didn't deny it. He sat back slightly, elbows on his knees, rubbing his palms together as if deciding whether to tell the truth or protect himself. Then he said, "I thought keeping my distance was doing you a favor." That confused me so much I almost forgot the pain in my side. "A favor? You know how the others were," he said, "how they treated you when we were younger. You were always the target. They turned everything into a joke, and if I so much as stood beside you, it made it worse." I frowned. "So you ignored me? To protect me?" He shook his head. "No, I ignored you because I didn't know how to help without making things worse. And by the time I figured out I'd messed up, it felt too late to fix anything." He wasn't looking at me now. He stared at the floor like it held the answers he didn't have. His voice stayed low, not dramatic, not emotional, just honest. I should have checked in, he said. I should have asked if you were okay, but I didn't. And when your message came through today, something in me just, his jaw clenched, snapped. A faint tremor moved through his fingers. He hid it by clasping his hands together. I shifted on the couch, adjusting the blanket around me. You didn't have to feel responsible. I'm not talking about responsibility, he said, glancing up briefly. I'm talking about history. My chest tightened. What history? Another pause, another battle behind his eyes. Then he said, there were things I noticed about you, even back then, things the others pretended they didn't see. Like what? That you were kind, he said. Too kind, even when they didn't deserve it. That you tried harder than anyone else to belong. That you kept going even when they made it impossible. He rubbed his face with one hand, tired, frustrated, almost angry with himself. And I didn't say anything, he added. Didn't defend you, didn't stand with you, because I didn't want to deal with the fallout. I blinked at him. I never wanted anyone to fight for me. He shook his head. You shouldn't have had to want it. The room went quiet again. Not uncomfortable, not heavy, just real. For the first time, I wasn't looking at the alpha who once kept his distance. I was looking at someone piecing together his own regrets. After a long moment, he spoke again. When you reached out today, the way you wrote that message, he swallowed. It scared me. I exhaled shakily. I didn't mean to panic anyone. You didn't panic them, he said with an edge in his voice. You panicked me. Something in the way he said me tugged at a place inside me I didn't realize was still tender, but before I could respond, the dizziness surged again. I pressed a hand against the couch to steady myself. His eyes sharpened immediately. We're done talking for now, he said. You're pushing your limits. I'm fine, I tried. He gave me a look that said, don't even try that with me. You're not fine, he said, softer this time, and you don't need to pretend you are. I sank back against the cushions, breath shallow. He straightened, pulling his phone from his jacket. I'm calling the healer I trust, not the Pax, someone who actually knows what they're doing. I watched him step into the kitchen, voice low and urgent as he explained the situation. His back was turned, but even then, I could see the tension in his shoulders, the worry in the way he gripped the phone, the way he kept glancing back at me, like he expected me to fade out of existence if he looked away too long. And it hit me. Slowly, but completely. He wasn't here out of obligation. He wasn't here because he felt guilty. He wasn't here because he wanted to look like a savior. He was here because he chose to be. And that terrified both of us for different reasons. He ended the call with the healer and slipped his phone back into his pocket, jaw tight, shoulders still tense. Whatever the healer said clearly hadn't comforted him. He crossed the room in a few long strides and knelt beside the couch again. They're coming, he said. Stay awake if you can. Just stay with me. I nodded, but my body had other plans. My eyelids felt heavy, my breathing shallow. The room didn't spin this time, but it pulsed, like everything inside me was out of rhythm. He noticed instantly. Hey, he said, voice tightening. Don't fade on me. You have to. A sudden sharp knock rattled the door. Not the healer, not so soon. He stiffened, posture snapping alert. Stay here, he murmured, then stood and crossed to the door with the kind of quiet intensity I'd only ever seen from him during pack patrols. The knock came again, louder. He opened the door halfway, and I heard one voice, irritated, sharp, unmistakably familiar. Why the hell did you run out like that? My stomach dropped. The second alpha, one of the silent three, one of the ones who left me on read without a word. Before he could push his way inside, the alpha beside me stepped forward, blocking him. Not now. Move! The second alpha snapped. I saw your truck outside the old district. You got a message and then you bolted. You expect us not to ask why? Don't do this, the one inside said quietly, warning threaded through every syllable. The second alpha shoved the door wider. You went to him. After everything, his words cut off the second he saw me on the couch, sweat on my brow, blanket bundled tight around me, barely keeping my eyes open. Shock flickered across his face, followed quickly by something uglier, something like guilt shoved under anger. What's wrong with him? He demanded. You'd know, the alpha beside me shot back. If you'd answered him, the second alpha bristled. We all thought he was exaggerating. He's dramatic. He's sick, the first snapped. He reached out for help, and you ignored him. The silence that followed was brutal. The second alpha's jaw clenched. I didn't know it was bad. You didn't ask. Another voice cut in from the doorway, deeper, colder. You didn't want to know. The third alpha had arrived, and behind him, the fourth. All of them standing in my doorway, staring at the scene they were never supposed to be part of. I shrank into the couch without meaning to, shame pooling in my chest. The last thing I wanted was to be the reason they argued. The last thing I wanted was an audience to my weakness, but that's exactly what I'd created without meaning to. A crack in whatever unspoken balance they had. The third alpha stepped closer, eyes scanning me. You should have told us, he said, but there was no accusation in the words, just disbelief that someone he'd dismissed needed help he didn't offer. I did tell you, I whispered. He flinched. Even the fourth alpha, the quietest of them, looked away. The one who had come for me straightened, his voice level but shaking slightly. If you want to help now, keep out of the way. The healer's coming. The second alpha bristled. You can't shut us out of this. I can, he said. I am. The fourth alpha finally stepped forward, calm but firm. What's happening to him? The one beside me hesitated, not because he didn't know what to say, but because he wasn't sure how much he had the right to share. So I answered myself, voice thin. I'm sick. It's not small. Their expressions shifted instantly. Remorse, worry, shock, and in some cases, something that looked a lot like panic. Even the one who hated showing emotion couldn't hide the way his shoulders tensed. The second alpha rubbed his jaw, frustrated. We didn't know. You didn't want to know, the first corrected again. And now, all of them were in my small, suffocating living room. 4 powerful alphas who had once treated me like background noise, now arguing because I'd reached out and one of them hadn't hesitated. I closed my eyes briefly. My ribs hurt too much to keep them open. The conversation blurred around the edges, but I could still hear pieces. He could have collapsed alone. He shouldn't have reached out to a group chat. Don't put this on him. He needed us, and we weren't there. Their voices tangled, frustration and guilt, and something I didn't want to interpret. Then the one who'd come for me said sharply, "Everyone shut up." They did, completely. He turned back to me and lowered himself beside the couch, his voice softer. I've got you. You're not going anywhere. Something stung behind my eyes, not pain this time, but something too heavy and too warm. His brothers, or rivals, or friends, whatever they were to each other, stood around us, unsure whether to move closer or back away. And for the first time since the diagnosis, I wasn't invisible. I wasn't an afterthought. I wasn't alone. The room felt too full. 4 alphas standing shoulder to shoulder in a space that had only ever held silence and dust. I sank deeper into the couch cushions, not because I wanted to disappear, but because every breath hurt, and staying upright took more strength than I had. The healer still hadn't arrived, but the 4 of them had, and they didn't seem to know what to do with themselves. The second alpha paced near the doorway, agitation in every step. The third lingered around the edges of the room, arms crossed like he was shielding himself. The fourth hovered by the kitchen, not touching anything but close enough to jump in if I fell over. And the one who came for me first? He never left my side. He knelt on the floor, one hand braced lightly near my knee, not touching, but there, ready. Every time my breath stuttered, his head snapped up. Every time my eyes fluttered, he leaned in closer. It was strange and soft and terrifying. Finally, the second alpha spoke, voice rough. Why didn't you tell any of us sooner? I swallowed. Even that hurt, because I didn't think anyone would care. My voice cracked on the last word. Shock flickered across their faces. Real shock, not the kind they wore when someone challenged them in a meeting or at training. This was something raw. You really believed that? The third alpha said quietly. I let out a tired laugh. You didn't answer. The fourth winced like he'd been hit. I saw the message while I was in a meeting. By the time I looked back, someone else had typed "seen." I thought he'd replied already. Same, the second muttered. I figured someone had stepped up. I was wrong. The third exhaled, frustration shaking through it. We messed up. I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't say anything. The alpha beside me lowered himself onto the couch slowly, careful not to jostle me. You didn't need all four of us, he murmured. You needed one person. He looked at me then, fully, directly, and I should have been that person a long time ago. His words hit something deep, something I'd kept buried so long I almost didn't recognize the ache of it. I opened my mouth to respond, to tell him he didn't owe me anything, but before I could, a sharp wave of lightheadedness crashed through me. I sucked in a breath, or tried to, but it hitched halfway and stuck. He reacted instantly, catching my shoulders. Easy. Hey, look at me, look at me. His voice dropped low, steady, controlled. You're okay, just ride it out. But I wasn't okay, not in that moment. Everything felt too bright, too close, too loud. My chest tightened, vision narrowing at the edges. Someone cursed. The second alpha, maybe. Someone else moved closer. A hand hovered at my shoulder, another at the back of my head. The room blurred with warmth and voices. And then, a firm, practiced hand pressed to my forehead, another at my pulse. A new voice, calm but sharp. Move. Give him air. Let me work. The healer had arrived. The four alphas stepped back instantly, forming a loose ring around the couch as if warding off danger while also admitting they were the danger. Too many emotions, too much noise, too little understanding of what I needed medically. The healer checked my breathing, my pulse, my temperature, his brows lowering in concern. You should have come sooner, he said gently. But luckily, you're not too far gone to help. The alpha beside me stiffened. Just tell us what to do. The healer looked up, eyes flicking between all four of them. You stay close. He needs consistent support. If he collapses again, someone must be here immediately. No more leaving him alone. Understood? Four alphas, proud, stubborn, famously impossible, answered in unison. Understood. Something in me loosened then, something tight and afraid. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. The healer mixed herbs, gave me something bitter to drink, and explained my treatment plan. The alphas listened like they were preparing for war. When it was quiet again, the healer gone, the room dim with evening light, I finally said the truth I'd tried so long to swallow. I thought I'd go through this alone. The alpha closest to me looked up slowly, eyes soft in a way I'd never seen before. You won't, he said. Not anymore. The second added, quieter, we're here. All of us. The third nodded once. The fourth stepped closer, gaze steady. And for the first time since the diagnosis, since the symptoms began, since the fear settled in my bones, since the moment I reached out and expected nothing, I wasn't disappearing into the background. I wasn't the omega they brushed past. I wasn't the one who slipped through the cracks. I was someone they stayed for, someone they protected, someone they came running for. My illness hadn't vanished. My fear hadn't either. But I wasn't dying alone, not anymore.